everybody, it's Romania Black. We're on episode 4 of number 6. And last episode, I'm glad that Rat, aka Nezumi, got the pupa out of Shion because that was the most disgusting thing ever. So Shion was saved by I call him Rat. I know some of you in the comments have been like, his name's Nezumi, and I'm like, well, Nezumi is the translation of it, but then they call him Rat, so I don't know what to do. I feel so conflicted. I want to keep calling him Rat, but then I'm like, Nezumi also sounds prettier than Rat, but we'll see. I'll probably end up calling him Rat, but Nezumi, aka Rat, saved Shion, and Shion kind of had like a come to terms with the fact that not only has his physical appearance changed, he's got these weird scars, his hair's turned white, his eyes are a reddish tint, but he's also survived this attack and realized that these pupa, this wasp eggs, are implanted in probably everybody in number 6. Shion obviously wants to save everybody because he has a stake in that. His mother's there, and then Safu, even though she's at number 5, she probably has family there as well. So there is a stake that Shion has. Whereas Rat is like, nope, let him die. There's nothing we can do. And they're both, the sad thing is they're both kind of right. Shion obviously is being the humane person, being like, we need to tell everyone I clearly have survived this, so maybe they can make an antidote out of me, out of my blood, what we can do something. And Rat's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but the government's gonna kill you if they find you. They're not gonna save everybody. This is clearly a cover-up. Otherwise, they'd try to warn the mass population. So they're both right in a sense, but I'm curious to know, Rat kind of put an ultimatum on the table. He's like, well, if you keep thinking that you're going to help everybody, then you're going to be my enemy. And I'm like, I don't know about that. So I'm really curious. We're on episode 4 of 11. As I've said in previous reactions, this is a 9-volume manga, so clearly there's been a lot cut out, and we've just met Doglone, the girl that's like owns the hotel that the people are staying at with dogs, cuddling with them, which is adorable. So I'm curious to know what has been left out, and so when I go and read the manga, I'm probably going to start reading it as we get closer to the midway point, so I'm not spoiling myself, but I am going to be curious what all is being left out, because they've clearly cut a lot to narrow this 9 volumes down to 11 episodes. You know, that's usually an episode at least is a couple chapters of a volume, much less just one volume, much less condensing 9 down. So I'm going to be really curious what all is being left out. But in any case, I'm really excited to see what happens now. We kind of cut off right at a nice point of being like, here's the situation. And I'm really curious. You all know me and my English background. Act 1. We've set up Act 1 with this last episode. Episodes 1 through 3, we set up our characters, we set up our world, our conflict, and now we have our inciting action where Shion wants to do something and Rat's like, nope. So that's going to set us into part 2, which I'm assuming starts here with episode 4. So we shall see. But in any case, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Thank you all so much for watching, and we're going to start episode 4. I believe it was called Demons and Saints of number 6 here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay. Huh. Well. Oh! So, okay. So, this show, it set up some things really subtly in this episode. Some really subtle things. Some subtle things and some not so subtle things. Some not so subtle things. Not so subtle being that Nezumi, Rat, has a thing for Shion. And he's trying to deny it. He's trying to act all like, nope, not having a thing, not having a thing at all about you. You're dumb, you're an airhead. But it's clear that he's trying to do 2 things. One, he's trying to pass off that he doesn't like Shion to everyone else in the city because he doesn't want them targeting Shion. So there's that, and he's failing miserably at that because Doglone figures out immediately that Shion and him are kind of a thing. So that's not working good. But also he tells Shion, he's like, I don't want you knowing about me because then you won't be able to kill me. But I don't think that's it. I think the thing is that Rat doesn't want to tell Shion about himself because he doesn't want to not be able to kill Shion if the time comes. I don't think Shion would kill him, but I think that he's like, I don't want to share. The more I share with you about myself, the closer we're going to become and the more attached we're going to become. And I don't want that because then I have to worry about you getting hurt. It's kind of like, it's like twittering birds. It's like twittering birds and banana fish where Ash and Yashiro, both of them, they don't want to get Domeki and Eiji too close because then they become kind of sucked into that world too, and once you get into the world you can't get out. So I don't think it's necessarily that Rat is worried about having to kill Shion. I think it's worried that Shion's never going to leave Rat, and if things get dire and Shion needs to leave, he's not going to do it. And I think Rat's worried about that because he doesn't want Shion to get hurt. So there's that. I heard in one of your comments saying that the creator of this show is heavily influenced by Banana Fish. And I didn't quite think that until this episode. In this episode, obviously the rat with the pill reminded me of episode 3 of Banana Fish with the way that Ash gets Eiji the message. But just the way that Rat presents himself and the kind of hardened exterior reminds me a lot of Ash from Banana Fish. And then Eiji and Shion have a lot in common, especially when Doglone's like, Shion has the ability to derail people, to kind of bring out their humanity and empathy. That's Eiji 2.0, right? So I can see the homage that the author, the mangaka, is paying to Banana Fish with Shion and Rat, with these two characters, because there's definitely a lot of similarities. But Shion doesn't seem... He kind of backed off his whole plan of trying to save number 6 for right now. He's kind of backed off of that. But getting to understand how the world outside of number 6 functions, he's getting a taste of, like, there's prostitution, there's clearly sex trafficking, there's clearly murder and robbery, like people are just shooting each other in the streets. Like, it's a very wild, wild west, no rules sort of thing. But here's the problem. Number 6 is probably just as bad. It's just hiding it, right? It's just hiding it. That whole reporter, the reporter creeps me out to no end. To no end, the news reporter. Because when she's grieving losing Shion, he's just sitting there, and it shows like it just lingers on his hand on her shoulder. And there's such like sexual tension between her and him, but it's not attraction. It's just him like kind of being predatory. I don't know. I get very bad vibes from him. I just get that kind of like he's just kind of predatory around her. And I know that he has a little girl, and I know it seems somewhat innocent, but I don't get that vibe. I don't get good vibes from him at all. And he clearly knows that the cops are watching after her, so he knows something's up, and he's a reporter. So don't get good vibes from him at all. And the mom... So the mom is interesting, a lot more than what she seems. When we met the guy, the man in the old newspaper thing that seems to be doing some kind of sex trafficking himself, which Shion had a very visceral response to, which we've not seen Shion lash out like that. So I wonder if he was thinking that this man had taken advantage of his mother, and that was what caused him to get really upset. Is he like, oh, did you take advantage of my mom? Like, you're taking advantage of these women? So there's that. And man, Shion looks exactly like his mom. Like, identical from when she was younger. So there's that. But also the mom being part of this Organization X, which anytime there's like an Organization Z, Organization X, Organization single letter of the alphabet, it's not usually a good thing. So I'm curious to know what all her ties are with it. That's what I'm curious about. Like, how is she tied to this organization? What was her role in all of it? Because I think he said that she wrote news stories, like she was a reporter herself, which kind of explains why she has the connection to the reporter now. But that's interesting. It almost makes me feel like there's like Shion is genetically predestined to have issues with number 6 based on his mom. We don't have any info on the dad. For a second, I thought that this guy was going to confess to being Shion's dad, and I was like, that's going to be weird. So it's weird that the mother knows about this organization, that she's a member of this science group, that Rat clearly knows one of the members. I'm guessing did some experimentation on him, perhaps, or on people he knew. So Rat is privy to some knowledge that Shion does not have about his own family, which I'm sure will come back and be problematic. But here's the other thing. Shion's mom, Rat in the note tells her where they're at. He says, we're in West Block. And then she tells him where the news reporter is that knows her. So here's the thing. She knows what lies outside of number 6. She knows about West Block, about this outside world. So I'm curious how many others in number 6 know that outside these pearly gates, there's this slum where people are literally just killing each other in the street. Like a woman just literally slitting someone's throat to get a kiss. Like, how... Like, she knew that, clearly. So how many others know that? And that should be something that gets brought up. That should be an issue. Because the people in number 6 know that there's others living outside in the world in all of this. And she's clearly worried about Shion because she's like, oh, my son could be killed in this outside world at any time. And him telling her that she's alive is why she gets so worked up, obviously. But, that's interesting to me, the fact that she knows about the outside world. Because Shion had no clue. He was like, oh, there's people living outside of the pearly gates. So, I mean, I don't know if that's Shion's naivete by himself, or if most of the citizens are just as naive as Shion, or if it's just him. That's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, how many people know about life outside the gates of number 6 and just don't say anything. So that part's really interesting. It looks like in the preview that maybe we're focusing on Safu. Maybe we're focusing on her next episode and seeing how she's doing in number 5. Stuff's going on with Rat in this and with Shion. Doglone getting raised by dogs and having all these dogs is endearing, but I don't trust her at all. She's shady too. Because even though she's giving Shion work, she knows now that Rat has an attachment to Shion. And as we've established in this world, people are very willing to just instantly take advantage of others to survive. Like the philosophy Rat was talking about to Shion at the very beginning of the series isn't, something he made up. It's what a lot of people there believe, and Rat's been kind of like living it, alongside everybody. And so then that also brings up another point that I want to talk about. The fact that Rat is an actor. The fact that Rat is a stage actor on the side, doing work as a stage actor, which explains why he has Hamlet, why he has all these Shakespearean plays in his apartment, in his home, because he's referencing them for his work. That gives me a little bit more context, because last episode I was like, man, for someone that can recite all this beautiful poetry and beautiful Shakespeare, you're pretty emotionless, Rat, and you don't really have a lot of romance, or, you don't seem like the romantic type, even though you have all this romantic literature around you. It makes sense now because he's a stage actor. He's using it for his work. That makes a lot of sense. It's funny that he's a stage actor because he's pretending to have all this emotion and romance and appeal, when in reality he seems pretty barren and kind of stripped of that based on his past. So that's interesting. I find that interesting. I'm curious if that whole acting thing is gonna... He's trying to act like he doesn't care about Shion, calling him an airhead and just dissing him, but I think, we the audience can see that, no, you really like Shion. It's just an act that you're putting on. So, and then Shion there at the end saying, I'm drawn to you. Like, I want to stay here because you saved me, but I'm drawn to you. Like, I mean, I'm all for it. But I'm curious to know where we go to from here. So that should be interesting. But yeah, I'm so curious. This episode was a lot more kind of stripped down, and it wasn't as much dealing with the plot as it was kind of getting into the psyche of Rat and why he's acting the way that he does, and sort of how the world of, the West Block works. And so, like, Shion's having major culture shock because he's, like, not used to any of this and having to deal with, being in this sanitized, hyper polite world to, like, where people are just, like, mouthing you and trying to cut you with a knife. So, it was an interesting contrast. Definitely the fish out of water episode. But I'm so curious now. I'm curious about the mom, particularly, and I'm kind of worried for her because I don't trust this reporter at all, and so I'm worried that something's going to happen to her. And then I don't trust Doglone. As nice as her business is, as cute as her puppies are, I don't trust her now that she knows that Rat and Shion kind of have a thing, because I think she'll just sell him out like that, to save her own skin. So I don't know, y'all. Very, very curious. But I'm curious to know what you all thought about the episode. This series has been very intriguing so far, and I like it a lot. I really like Shion and Rat, and I feel like we got a lot in the first two episodes, and these last two episodes we did get a lot last episode, but these last two episodes have kind of like slowed down and calmed down, and we only have 11 episodes, so I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, the plot's probably going to pick back up and ramp up again. So. I guess we'll find out next episode, won't we? So please feel free to comment down below. Please, no spoilers, but I'm curious to know what you guys thought of the episode. But yeah, in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back next week with episode 5 of number 6. Bye.